Hi, Ryan Hayden here, and as I promised, I'm going to go ahead and give you the second one of our videos in this series about how to set up a church website on the cheap as you possibly can. And we're going to set you up with an awesome website. If you remember last time, we went through just an introduction, and today what we're going to go over is we're going to go over domain name, and hosting. Now, last week when I did the first video, I remember if I told you there's no such thing as a quality free website. It's just one of those things like the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, that does not exist. If you want to have a good website, you're going to have to pay something for it. And I said that this doing it yourself is going to save you a bunch of money over going through a web designer, and it's going to cost you about $100 to $200. And if you remember, I said that most of that money is going to be going into your domain name and your hosting. And so what you need for this video is you need, first of all, to have permission. You don't need to be doing this without the permission of your church, without your pastor's permission. And you need to talk to them about what names and things are acceptable. And you're going to need to have a credit card because you're going to be spending money today. All right? It's just necessary to set this up. So let's talk first about your domain name. What is a domain name? Your domain name, sometimes called a URL or a Uniform Resource Locator. Those two are roughly equivalent. Your domain name is the address of your site on the internet. If you go to a web browser, it's the thing that's on the box across the top of Internet Explorer, Safari, Chrome, Firefox, whatever you use. It's the thing that starts with www most of the time and ends in .com or .org or .edu or that sort of thing. Let me give you some advice about domain names, okay? The first thing you're going to have to do if you're going to do this is pick one. And so I'm going to give you some advice about it first. It needs to be something that's memorable. A lot of times I see people use domain names that are acronyms, just you know, bbcnh.org or bbcil, cc.org or something like that. And I understand why people do that. You need to understand one thing about domain names is that they are a limited resource. It's just like phone numbers. If everybody's phone number had to be a word, can you imagine how hard it would be to get a phone number like Ryan Hayden? It would be almost impossible. The same thing goes with church websites. There's so many churches, and there's only a small amount of church domains. And so if you pastor Calvary Baptist Church, you just need to forget about ever having calvarybaptistchurch.com. That boat sailed a long time ago. Okay, I pastored Bible Baptist. BibleBaptistChurch.com was gone long before I came on the scene. Okay, they're a limited resource, so you have to be a little bit creative. I think the important thing is to make it something that people can remember and something that identifies your church. Now, the way that we did that is we use our location. Our church website is BibleBaptistMattoon.com or BibleBaptistMattoon.org. That's fairly easy to remember. If you can't use your location, you could do something else about your church and add it to the name. But that's easier to remember, in my opinion, than an acronym. And then you're going to have choices. You get to choose between .org, .com, .co, .info, .us. And again, I would say that you use something that's easy to remember. And for a church, people are expected to be .org or .com. Those are the two things. So I would stay away from the other ones and stick with just those, just .com and .org, so that it's easy to remember. Now, you can go to a site. If you search for domains on Google, you're going to probably end up at a place like domainname.com or godaddy.com. Those are the two biggest ones. And that's where most people purchase their domain names. And you can do that. But you're going to add a bunch of extra steps, and you're going to end up with two bills instead of just one. So my recommendation for you is that you purchase your domain name from your host. And that brings me to the second part of our thing that we're going to talk about, and that's hosting. What is hosting? Hosting is the computer, basically a special computer that's run as a service. You get space on it, and that computer is set up to run websites. You have to have this. There's no way around it. And let me give you some things about hosting. I've already said you have to have it. There's no way around it. The second thing is this. You get what you pay for when it comes to hosting. Now, there are thousands of hosting sites. Um, and you can find web hosting for as little as $1.99 a month, $2 a month, or you can find it as expensive as $50, $60 a month, and even more. I would recommend spending around $10 a month for web hosting. I have gone with the cheaper things. Look, this is a list of companies I personally have used. I'm sure there's more in the last 10 years I've been doing this that I've worked with as web host. And I've gone the cheap route and I've gone the more expensive route, and I've never really been sad about going the more expensive route. It will go down. You will have to deal with customer service. There is no real such thing as unlimited. You are eventually going to have to deal with your web host, and in my opinion, using one that costs a little bit more, that's very much reputable and recommended, is well worth the investment. I would not mess around with one of the super cheap ones if I were you. Okay. Now, of this list that I've used, the two that I most recommend are a company called Site5 and DreamHost. Those are the two that I currently use. I host my personal site on Site5 just because we used that at my old church, and they hosted it for me, and we transferred it over, so they have my personal site. And then the one that I use for everything else, and the one that I most recommend, is DreamHost. And DreamHost is the one that I'm going to actually be walking you through using for the rest of this video. So the first thing you need to do is go to dreamhost.com. This is what the website looks like. Currently, they're doing a special, and you can sign up for $8.95 a month hosting. That, in my opinion, is not too much to pay. This is probably the number one or number two most reputable hosting company on the internet, and they have that reputation for a reason. This is a good company to work with. When I have technical support problems or I have questions, I can send them an email message, and usually within 5 minutes they get back to me, and they stay with it until it gets done. And of all the web hosting companies that I've worked with, this is the one that I like the best. That's why our church hosts our stuff with them. Okay, so after you go to this website, you'll notice there's this box on the right with unlimited hosting. It's not really unlimited. There's really no such thing as unlimited hosting. It's just marketing speak. But this will be more than enough for the average church. So you want to click that Sign Up Now button, and then it will bring you to this page. And here you just put the email address and a password that you want to be associated with this account. You're going to want to write it down because you're going to be using it in the future. All right, so write that down, put the email address and the password down, and then click Continue. And then it's going to bring you to this page. And it's going to ask you if you already have your domain or if you need to register a new domain. For the purposes of this, we're going to go through registering a new domain, but it's not all that difficult to actually transfer a domain to the site if you already own one. So I have one here on Bible Baptist Toledo. I'm not in Toledo, but I just wanted to see if it was available. And it is, BibleBaptistToledo.com, and you can put it in there and then click Continue. Remember, try something that's memorable. Try maybe with your location in it. That will help with searches. And stick with .com or .org. Okay? Put that information in there, click Continue, and it's going to ask you for your billing information. It'll ask you for a credit card and that sort of thing. Now, I'm going to give this to you. If you use the coupon code Ryan Hayden when you sign out, it will give you a $20 discount for 1 year, a $50 discount if you go ahead and pay for 2. Now that helps me out. I do get a kickback for that. I'm going to tell you that. I actually prepared this before I knew I could do this. So I was suggesting DreamHost before I knew that DreamHost would pay me for suggesting DreamHost. But if they're going to pay me, I'm going to take it. And it's going to help you out too. All right? So put that coupon code in there, help both of us out, and I would recommend this company over any of the other companies that I've worked with, even without a kickback. All right? Put that in there, RyanHayden.com. You get a $20 discount. Help us both out. All right? Well, after you go through that, after you give them your credit card, you need to wait at least 15 minutes, maybe an hour. Go get yourself a cup of coffee or something, and then come back. And the place where you want to go is you want to check your email. They'll send you several emails over that hour, but the most important one is the one that says Account Approval Notification. And this account approval notification here, it's going to have several important things for you to keep track of. You want to save this email, maybe print it out. But the first one is the address of your web panel. And your web panel is where you manage all of the stuff. We'll take a look at that in a second. That has to do with your hosting, has to do with your domain name. The second thing, and even more important, I've got to write it out here because I don't want you to see my information, but it's the FTP username and password. FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. It's how you move files to your website and how you take files off of your website. This information is very important. You can always get to it again through going to your web panel, but it's a handy place to have it in your email. So you can get to your panel by clicking on that link like I showed you, but most of the time you're probably going to go to dreamhost.com, and you'll notice the arrow there pointing to panel up across the top. If you click on that, it will ask for the email and the username, and not the username, the email and the password that you put in before, the one I asked you to write down. You put that in, and it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. This is your web panel, and it is the place where you can manage all of the things that have to do with your website. You can add domains to your hosting. You can install free software. You can add users that are allowed to get here. You can manage databases and email if you want to have it, and all of those different things. And this is a little bit different than other hosts that I've used. Most of them use something called cPanel, which there's nothing wrong with cPanel. The first time I looked at this, I thought, what? But after I've used it, I really like it better than anything I've ever worked with as far as hosting goes. Don't let it overwhelm you. There's about 1 million things that you can do on this panel and on a cPanel that you're never going to need to do. Okay? Just follow my instructions, and we'll get through this, and I'll show you everything that you need to know. All right? One more thing, if you want to go to the website that you just added, you should see a page like this. I'm going to be using, just for demonstration purposes, a website that I own that has nothing on it right now called harvestseminary.org. But we're going to add it. We're going to put a church website there just for demonstration purposes. But if you go to the website that you added, the domain name that you added a few steps ago, you should see a page that looks something like this, just a landing page. That's a good sign. It means we're ready to go with the next step. By the way, the next step is WordPress. WordPress is a software that runs your actual website. It's going to be the thing that makes it easy for you to keep it updated. And so we'll walk through the installation process of WordPress, a few things you need to do to set it up initially in the next video, which should be out probably by the end of the week. So keep an eye on the blog. Thank you for watching this video, this tech tip. I'm Ryan Hayden. Blog is ryan-hayden.com. Come back when you get a chance. I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.